Duncan Graham is Managing Director of Retail Excellence Ireland. He's on the line with us, and a very good morning to you, Duncan, and thanks indeed for joining us on this bright Friday morning. A lot brighter perhaps than Friday mornings of recent months. We have some hope on the horizon. I take it your members were beginning to wonder when, if ever, they were going to reopen again, and people wondering if they'd ever get back into the shops. But the news yesterday that Click and Collect will resume on Monday of next week. That's Monday week, the 10th, and then the shops open generally the following Monday, which will be the 17th of May.
That's right, Michael. And it was a good day yesterday, and perhaps you could look at it and say it was the best day we've had in 13, 14 months now at this stage. It was certainly a day of hope, as was mentioned there. I guess it was an interesting day insofar as there were a few things that sort of came together towards the back end of the day, which made a bit more sense. So if you take the sort of morning's announcements from the subcommittee meeting that had taken place the night before, they were talking about Click and Collect on the 10th, and then the full reopening, as you've mentioned, on the 17th. I think by the time the Taoiseach got on his feet at 6 o'clock, the word appointment-only shopping was also dropped into there as opening on the 10th of May. So really the way we see it now is that the 10th of May will be the start point of a ramping up of the reopening of retail. So from the 10th of May, yes, of course, you can phone up and pick something up from a store, or you can book it online and pick it up at another point. But you could also make an appointment to go in and try something on with a view to then purchasing it. So, there is a gradual ramping up happening from that date. And certainly our members that I was speaking to yesterday were pleased to get clarity, and pleased they've got now a run in to get people back to work, to get their stores sorted, and to get going again for the summer.
Try something on. People are scratching their heads wondering what that means. It's so long since they had the opportunity to do it. It is happening very quickly, a lot quicker than a lot of us expected. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. I think retail has been shut down now for 4 or 5 months. And I think, we've been saying to government for a while now that we wanted a phased reopening. I don't think when we were talking about that phased reopening, our anticipation was Click and Collect back in sort of the 10th of April, 10th of March, 10th of April, not the 10th of May. So we've been ready and chomping at the bit to reopen for some time now. And, I think if you walk down any shopping street or into any shopping centre at the moment, you'll almost smell the paint as businesses start to ramp up. I think the challenge that retailers are going to have just over the next few days is just making sure they get people back in, get people retrained, reinducted back into the business. Because when you've been out of a business for, in many cases, since the 30th of December, in many cases, it's going to need a little bit of work to just get people back into the right frame of mind and doing the right things again, and obviously reminding them of the COVID protocols. So I think that's going to be the challenge for retailers over the next few days, but nothing that we haven't that we're not ready for and can't put in place quite quickly. Yeah,
because some of us will be very slow and hesitant to get back to doing what we used to do. Others will be very quick about doing it and may throw caution to the wind and not follow those guidelines. So that'll be a challenge for you and your members to make sure that people are safe themselves and keeping others safe for that matter. But is it better than you were expecting in that retail doesn't work in isolation, and when you walk down any high street, there's an awful lot of business, an awful lot of businesses doing various things, and the idea of pubs and restaurants being open must play in to what you were hoping for, at least.
Yeah, look, we need the full economy open. We need to make sure that our towns and cities work properly, and you're absolutely right. Hospitality has to work in with retail. We have to have an economy that goes on into the evening, that gives some vibrancy back. And many of our towns across the country have really suffered over the last few months. With retail being shut, and in effect what you've had is a curfew, haven't you, at sort of 6 o'clock in the evening. Nobody's going into town, everybody's at home, and that's been the case. It's been very sad. So, to actually see that there's a bit more happening in terms of outdoor dining and the pubs starting to reopen and things like that. And of course, cross-county travel, that's really important, that, we can start to get a bit of movement. And it's just the hope that it will also instill in people that, there's this light at the end of the tunnel. We will have a bit of a summer. And having that confidence means that people will start to spend a bit more. And I think that's vital for retail at this moment in time.
And savings are very high. A lot of people haven't been able to go out or go to the shops or anything like that, and they've been putting money away as a result. It's great. There's no doubt about that. A little bit like coming back from your holidays, though. Not that this was a holiday. There's the bills to pay, and a lot of people will be coming back to a lot of bills.
They will, and that's that's really the next step is with government is to say, look, what are the supports that are in place? Because if you're a retailer sitting there at the moment, you've got a shop presumably full of spring-summer stock. You've got suppliers that will need to be paid. You've been trading online for the last 4 months. In most cases, those online sales are probably only a fraction, 20 to 30% of what you might take in a normal week. So you really haven't been generating the income to pay many of those bills. You've got the landlord to pay for rents and so on and so forth. So, it's going to be a tough time. Retailers certainly need to start generating some cash, and they need the support of government to be able to do that. So, certainly things like the doubling up of the CRSS in the final week as we get back in, the continued wage supports, the pushing the rates waiver further down from at the moment it's due to finish at the end of June. So there's certainly a need to push that further down into the autumn, if not till the end of the year, and then supports with the ongoing supports for online shopping, so that businesses can continue to pivot and offer online and physical shopping. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done now to get those supports back in place and get retail ticking again. OK, we'll leave it there for the moment. Duncan, good as always to talk to you. Thank you indeed for joining us this morning. Duncan Gray, Managing Director.